Welcome to solverfy.
So in this exercise, we should find the shortest path between cities. So we got this graph that represents the locations of some cities, and the edges represent the distance between each city. Okay, so we need to find the shortest path between Boston and LA. So the way to proceed in this case is use the well-known Dijkstra algorithm. So how to apply the Dijkstra algorithm in this exercise? Well, just remember that you should put an infinite distance between each city, and then we are going to update this value with the shortest one. So in this case, we're going to start from Boston, and then we're going, for example, from Boston, we can go either to New York or to Chicago. So if we go to New York, then the distance that we have traveled is exactly 191, and in parentheses is always it used to put the node that we have passed until reach that the actual node. In this case is New York, but the previous one was Boston, so this is like the path that we are following. If we update the value for Chicago, in that case will be 860, and the path is from Boston to Chicago. Okay, so this corresponds to the first step on the algorithm. So we have already visited this node here that is Boston, and then we should continue with the next nodes. So the next nodes are New York and Chicago. So let's, for example, start from New York. So from New York, we can go to Chicago, and if we go to Chicago, then we should sum 860 to 191, and I'm sorry, and then we should add, 722. Okay, so this will be 9 exactly is 900, I'm sorry, 923, 13, sorry, 13. Okay, so clearly this distance is bigger than 860. Okay, so here 913 is bigger than 860, so we are going to to choose the smaller one. So in this case, it's 860, so we're going to live with that path. And the other we are not going to take into account. So we can erase this. So this path is not good, so we're not going to choose it. Okay, what to what other node we can move? Well, we can go to Dallas, following this edge. And when we arrive to Dallas, we got a total distance of 1,563, and the path that we have, the nodes that we have traveled are B and New York. So these are the cities that we have visited until reach the Dallas. Fine. Okay. So there is not other path options to move from New York, so we can discard this node. Now let's see what happened with Chicago. From Chicago, we can move to three cities. We can go directly to LA. We can go to San Francisco, or we can go to Denver, following this small one. So I'm going to put this on a different color because otherwise it's hard to see. So let's say that first we go from Chicago to LA, following this path, and then we are going to update the value of LA it will be plus 1036. So it's 2000. So LA is 2596. And in parentheses, the nodes that we had traveled is RB and Chicago. And then we reach LA. So this is the total distance following that path. We can go to Denver. However, I don't have enough space to draw there, so I'm going to put here Denver. And the distance will be 860 plus 908. So if we go from Denver, from Chicago to Denver, following this edge, the total distance until reach Denver is 1,768, and the path is from Boston to Chicago. Great. So we can erase this infinite here. And finally, we can reach San Francisco from Chicago. In that case, the total distance will be 1,941, and the path is Boston, Chicago, and then San Francisco. Fine. What other node we can visit now? So we have, until now, we have visited New York, Chicago, and Boston. Now we should go from Dallas to directly to LA. And that distance, you can observe that is 1,563 plus 1,235. So clearly this will be bigger than 2,596. So that path is not important in this case. So we're not going to consider going from Dallas to LA. What other path we can go from Dallas? Well, we can move to Denver. That distance again will be 563 plus 798, which is clearly bigger than 1,768. So we're going to keep the smaller one that corresponds to this distance, so we can reach Denver in the small, in traveling less distance going from Chicago. And that's it. That's all the possible paths to going from Dallas to other cities. So we have already traveled starting from Dallas. Now let's see what happens if we go from Denver. The only way to keep moving is going to San Francisco. But if we go from Denver to San Francisco, then the total distance will be 1,768 plus 957, and this clearly is bigger than 1,941. So we're going to keep the smaller one. So Denver, we're also not going to choose any path from Denver. And that's it. So Denver, we have already visited that node, and the last node that we should visit is San Francisco. So what happened if we move? So the distance to Denver is already on use. It doesn't matter. We're not going to reach any place. If we go from San Francisco to LA, then we should add 1,941 plus 957, and this clearly is bigger than this previous distance that we reached LA from Chicago. So in this case, we're going to keep the smaller one, and that corresponds to the shortest path. So the shortest path go from Boston to Chicago and then directly to LA, and that corresponds to this distance here. Great. So for the part A, the distance between Boston to LA is 2,596, and the path corresponds to Boston, Chicago, and directly LA. This is the shortest path. Great, so let's continue. Now we have the same graph here, but we should go from different cities to other cities. So now the starting point is New York, and the final city will be San Francisco. So this is the initial, this is the final, and we should find the shortest path again. So we have already seen how's the procedure. We're going to put infinites on each of the nodes to define the distance, the actual distance. And from this, we should start to update with the minimum distance travel. Great. So if we move from New York to Boston, then we got a total distance of 191, and the only travel node is New York. If we go from New York to Chicago, then the distance is just 722, and the only travel node is New York. And also from New York, we can go to Dallas directly, and this will correspond to 1,372, and again, it's just New York. So that corresponds to the visited node in New York. So now we can study what happened with the other one. So what happened if we start from Boston? We can go only to Chicago, and that will correspond to a bigger distance, because this distance between Boston and Chicago is already bigger than 722. So we are going to discard this node directly. There is nothing to study there. Nothing interesting happened. Then we can go from Chicago, and from here we can go directly to San Francisco, sorry. And then the distance that we have traveled will be 722 plus 1,855, and that is a total distance of 2,577. Okay, and the path in this case is New York, Chicago. Fine. What other options we got? We can go from Chicago to Denver, and then we reach San Francisco. I'm going to do it in this way just to show that is to show what happened if we choose that path. And it happened that the sum of these two distances here, 908 and 957, is 1,865. So it's bigger than going directly. So that path could be discarded already. What other options we got? Well, from Chicago, we can move to LA. And in that case, LA will got a distance that is equal to 1,736. So that is a total distance of 2,458. And the travel nodes are New York and Chicago. Great. So we have already checked what happened if we start from Chicago. We can already discard the option to go from to Denver first and then to San Francisco, because it's pointless in this case. And we can check what happened if we go to Dallas. Okay, if we go to Dallas, and then we can reach LA from Dallas, and that will be a total distance of 1,372 plus 1,235. This clearly, this summation is bigger than the 2,458 458. So it takes much distance to travel that way. So the distance to LA remains the same. We can go from Dallas to Denver, but and then to San Francisco. Okay, but the total distance will be 798 plus 957, and the last is the actual distance of to travel to Dallas is 1,372. This sum up to, so this is a total distance of 3,172, which is much lot bigger than going the other ways. So we're going to discard also the option to go to Dallas first. Okay, so the last node that we should analyze is LA. If we go to LA to San Francisco, this clearly will be bigger distance because we should sum up 2,458 plus 3,349. So that will be bigger than 2,577. So this corresponds to the shortest path. So if we draw the shortest path, it will be from New York to Chicago and then directly to San Francisco. Fine, so let me erase this. So the result for the part B is that to travel from New York to San Francisco, then the distance is 2,577 and the path is New York, Chicago, and then San Francisco. Great. Okay. Now we should go from Dallas to San Francisco. Okay, so now we start at Dallas and then we want to go to San Francisco. So there, like, we cannot clearly we cannot go this way, or because that will be a lot bigger the distance. Just by checking this distance and this distance, you will see that if we go here and then here, there will be a really long distance. So we're going to discard already that path. From Dallas, we got actually two options. We can go to LA and then to Denver. That could be the option that we got for now. So if we go to LA, then the distance to LA will be 1,235 and the travel nodes are just Dallas. If we go to Denver, then Denver, we got a total distance of 798 and the path is just Dallas again. And that will be all for Dallas. Then starting from Denver, we can go either directly to San Francisco or we can go to Chicago and then to San Francisco, but clearly that will be a lot bigger distance. So we can discard that distance from just doing this analysis. It's clearly that this will not correspond to an optimum path. So from Denver, we can go directly to San Francisco, and the distance that to reach San Francisco will be 798 plus 957. So the total distance is 1,755, and the path is Dallas and Denver. Then what other option we got? Well, we can go from Los Angeles to San Francisco, but that that distance will be 1,235 plus 349. And this, so if we go from LA to San Francisco, is 1,584, and the path is Dallas, LA, and clearly here the shortest corresponds to this one, so we're going to keep that. And that's it. So that is the shortest path. So the shortest path corresponds to Dallas, Los Angeles, and then directly to San Francisco. So the result in this part is that for C, the total distance to going from Dallas to LA is 1,584, and the path corresponds to Dallas, then to Los Angeles, and then to San Francisco. Great. We got one more path to find, and is from Denver. So now we should move from Denver to New York. Okay. So, which could be the possible paths? We cannot clearly we cannot go back to San Francisco. That will be a pointless path. Will not benefit in anything. So we from Denver we can either go to Dallas first. This is Dallas, or we can go to Chicago. Okay. So if we go to Dallas, then the distance will be 798, and the path will be just Denver. If we go to Chicago first, then the distance will be 908, and just Denver. Okay. Then so we can discard this node. Then we are also going to discard LA and San Francisco because it's pointless to move to that direction. So now we should check what happened if we go to Chicago. If from Chicago we move to New York, then the distance will be plus 722, so it's 1,630, and the travel distance is from Denver and Chicago. And that's it, because if we move this direction to Boston and then to New York, that the sum of these paths is bigger than 722, so it's pointless to go in that way. So that's it. That's it for Chicago. Now let's see what happened if we start from Dallas. So if we move from Dallas to New York, you can see that we should sum these two distances, and is bigger than the actual distance that we have computed here. So the shortest path from Denver to New York is Chicago and then New York. So in this case, the result from moving to move from Denver to New York is 1,630, and the path, the shortest path is Denver, Chicago, and then New York.